Hey guys, Monster here, bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so for the final of the new Heroes unit showcases, we are going to be taking a look at AEOS, the old Supreme Kai of Time, the final unit on the banner. She is a support unit with some interesting abilities in her kit. She's got some decent links. Obviously, Cold Judgment is pretty good. Things like Telekinesis, a bit weird. Solid support. Master of Magic and Godly Power, obviously some of the other extreme characters have, which is nice. And yeah, we'll take a look at what she does. Haven't given her any skill orbs yet, but her build should very much be full dodge, as she is a support unit who largely relies on dodge for her defense. So she has a Realm of Gods lead, 130 like all the other units except for Goku. She raises attack and defense to 1 turn on super, doing supreme damage and seals the enemy super attacks. And then her passive, attack and defense 120, additional defense 120 when receiving an attack, plus an additional defense 120 if there's another crossover ally attacking in the same turn when receiving an attack. So 240% defense when receiving an attack. But I believe the way this is, even with the way this is worded here, this applies to even if she dodges. So if she dodges, she still gets that 240% defense. So ideally, she dodges the first attack of the turn. She then gets an additional defense 120 and gives all enemies attack and defense minus 24%, as well as having a medium chance to stun all enemies at the start of the turn. High chance to evade enemy attacks. Actually, in fact, if there's another crossover ally. Yeah, it's worded weirdly, because it says plus an additional defense 120, all enemies attack and defense minus 24, and medium chance of stunning all enemies at the start of the turn. And then it's just like a semicolon. So I believe that just means in general, so like without the crossover ally. So she does get a lot of extra defense and debuffs the enemy. High chance to dodge. She gets an additional chance to dodge 10% within the same turn, and an additional 60% attack up to 240 with each attack evaded. So she'd have to dodge, what, 4 times to get the full attack buff? But each dodge gives her an extra 10% dodge chance, and she starts off at 50%, so that's pretty good. Then she gives all allies 2 key, attack and defense 40%, additional key 1 and attack and defense 24% for crossover allies. So obviously on the Heroes team, she's buffing everybody 3 key and 64%, which is pretty good. And she recovers 24% HP at the end of the turn in which an attack was received. So interestingly enough, like, she's a unit that you could potentially get away with running in slot 1. But she does start off at only 212k defense. So the interesting thing is, if she's going to get 240% when receiving the first attack, then, I mean, I can literally just do plus 240% here. That puts her up to 721k after the first attack, whether she gets hit or dodges. If she dodges, obviously she then increases her dodge chance. But the thing is, she's increasing her own attack within the turn with each attack evaded. So if you want her to hit like for a decent amount, then you kind of do want to put her in slot 1. But then at the same time, like, she's not really supposed to be a slot 1 unit, I don't think, right? She's a support unit. So we can try her out here. Oh, she stunned Gohan at the start of the turn. Amazing. Right, well, there you go. So that means she's hitting a 2.7. That's going to be the thing, right? Like, if she's not dodging, then obviously she's not going to be doing like any damage. But she's not on the team to do damage, right? She's on the team to be a support unit. But hey, that is kind of funny. It's only a medium chance to stun the enemies at the start of the turn, and we actually got it. So that is pretty funny. I believe that ability is only for 1 turn though, right? So he's not going to be stunned now. Yeah, okay. That's fine. So we'll float you off. Goku's getting his attack buff straight away, which is good. I bought a Limit Breaker Vegito friend so that we can just keep Goku and Vegito together, and then we'll keep Timebreaker on the other rotation with AEOS because they share a couple of links, including Master of Magic and Godly Power. So then we avoid the problem that I made in the Timebreaker showcase, where we can have the 2 superclass units just on the rotation together, and it's not 2 Gokus, so they can actually link together by having Goku and Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegito together. So, but yeah, we'll let Goku go off here. So funnily enough, we don't want AEOS to stun Gohan at the beginning of the next turn here. Goku should eat this as it is his turn 1. Intro is up. He's already supered a couple of times. Dark Mask King, obviously no buffs yet as he's not been hit. So he'll take a little bit of damage from that first hit, but he's got his buff now. And then, yeah, Phil obviously got no links active on this turn. But he got the stun. So we're not going to see AEOS really do much damage-wise here. Considering we keep stunning the enemy. But that's alright, we can only stun in the first phase. But, I mean, you're getting a good example of what she's going to look like as a floating support unit, because that's usually what's going to happen, right? She's not going to be dodging before she gets attacked. So she's got solid support with Toa. So what does solid support actually give her? It's more attack, isn't it? Yeah, 15%, and debuffs the enemy's defense a little bit. I think the problem is, Demigra is so good that if I put him in slot 1, I think he might kill... but I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, right? We're not really seeing what AEOS is capable of in this situation anyway, with Gohan being stunned. So, but I think with a lot of support, Demigra probably, yeah, does some good damage here. Although he builds up attack by being hit. So, to be fair, he hasn't had any build up yet. So, that's fine. And then, yeah, she's at 2.9. Yeah, not expecting anything crazy from her damage-wise on these kind of turns. But like that means that is what she's going to be doing in slot 3, like as a floating support unit. So very, very little damage. But obviously she's providing 64% support to the rest of the team. She is, of course, like her super attack effect does raise her defense for the turn. So if she's attacking first in slot 3 and then getting the first dodge off when she gets attacked in slot 3, she's then getting the 240% of whatever her defense is at the time after having the raise from her super attack effect as well. So her defense after getting the first attack could certainly be pretty good. Like I say, ideally you want her to dodge the first attack so she gets the defense up, and then if she takes a normal after that, it's kind of like Pan, right? And then if she takes a normal after that, she's going to be fine. She will die to big super attacks, but of course every time she dodges, she increases her dodge chance, so that's helpful as well. Yeah, Goku just going ham here and take out Gohan. And now we can see, watch this, but this will be the first time like AEOS is actually being able to be attacked, and watch her like immediately not dodge and get like supered in slot 1 or something. Alright, so we've got the crazy orb change turn for Fu. So they share Cold Judgment, Godly Power, and Fierce Battle. So that's actually very good, because Cold Judgment gives a lot of ki. Master of Magic gives, a lot of defense. Just attack. Whereas Cold Judgment is giving, was it 20% defense at level 10? 25%. I do really want Toa, I really want to see her dodge before she gets to attack though. So I guess we'll just have to hope that she does get the dodge, because I don't want to split up. I don't want to float off Demigra. Kept calling Demigra Mechikabura in the Demigra showcase. I'm trying really hard not to do that this time. Alright, so we'll do that. So let's see. Hopefully we can dodge the first attack here. Yep, there we go. So that should give her her defense up. And she gets the extra dodge chance. She dodges the super. And so now she's at 7.7. After dodging 3 attacks in the turn, 7.7. But the thing is, I think it's a bit too... Even with her having a full dodge build, like 50% chance to dodge, then a backup currently 20%, because she's got 20 dodge. I haven't given her any skill orbs yet. That's a bit too risky, I think, to be putting her in slot 1 against some of these like harder hitting bosses. Whereas at least if she's in slot 3, because she was at what, 212k. So when she does her super attack, she's going to get a 30% buff. So that's going to put her up to what, like 270, 280. And then of course when she then gets the, let's say it is 280, when she then gets the extra 240%, like on top of that, it's then putting her up to like 952. So that's like over 200k more than like if she just gets the dodge in slot 1, like her defense goes up to. So in slot 3, after the first attackers come through, whether it's been dodged or not, and she gets that buff, then obviously she then is going to be able to tank normals from like most bosses. And of course, as long as she dodged that first attack, as we've already said, her dodge chance goes up. So let's see, I guess we can... I don't want to stall in this phase for too long, because I mean the thing is AEOS doesn't like build up or anything, so it's not like we need to stall out this phase. I guess we can attack here, Gohan with Toa, because she's not going to get, like, a crazy buff here or anything. 144. Yeah, Goku's defense definitely isn't super impressive, like, after his intro buff runs out. Like, this Gohan, despite having type of... I mean, we got guard, so it doesn't matter. But I was going to say, despite having type disadvantage, like, Gohan hitting him for 140k, when he's certainly not, like, the hardest hitting boss. I mean, even in this, like, movies, like Blue Zone. But... yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not Goku's optimal setup. I mean, rotation with Limit Breaker Vegito, he shares a decent amount of links, but... yeah, it's interesting that the Heroes team seems kind of divided with the mix of, like, the Super and Extreme units. They can work together, and obviously, but, like, Demigra needs a full rotation of Extreme if you want him to get the extra damage reduction in slot 1, which isn't the end of the world if you're not going to put him in slot 1, but... it just would have been really good. Like, we all assumed it would be the case. I said it in, like, my previous videos and stuff, but, like, Fu should have been a 200% leader. And then we could have made a very interesting, like, full Extreme Heroes team. So, they don't share any links. So, yeah, 212k. She's only going to potentially get one dodge in slot 1 here anyway, so... let's go ahead and do this. And then we can grab those. And grab those. Because, yeah, her start of turn defense definitely not anything particularly impressive. But once she starts dodging, obviously the defense goes up by a significant amount after the first attack. And even if you don't dodge, it's still going to go up. But the problem is, you know, if you don't dodge that first incoming attack, she is potentially going to take a fair bit of damage. Not Demigra, though, this absolute beast. And a 6.4. That is significantly higher than... oh, the attack... oh, is the dodge within the turn, and the attack is permanent. Let me reread her passive. That might make me rethink things a little bit. I might have made a terrible mistake throughout the first 12 minutes of this video. I mean, I say a terrible mistake. It's not like we've done anything that can't be fixed here, but let me reread her passive. Because her passive was confused me anyway at the beginning because of this, like, the way this is worded with the extra bit at the end. So yeah, it's additional chance of evading enemies attack 10% within the same turn, and an additional 60% up to 240. So the 60% up to 240 is permanent. So once she's dodged 4 attacks, she has the 240% attack buff, and it is permanent. Okay, so that changes things up a little bit, because then I feel like what you want to do is, even though you want to use her as a 3rd slot floating unit, I guess ideally what you want to do is put her in front of some attacks in the first turn that she's on. Like, even if that means putting her in slot 1 or slot 2. And then once she's dodged the 4 attacks, then you can just start using her as a floating support. And then her attack stats are actually going to be relatively decent, considering that is her... because remember, she's not on the team to do damage. So if a unit that is providing a lot of support to the allies, has a pretty decent dodge rate, has fairly solid raw defense, and then is dropping like a 7 million attack stats, that's not a crazy number. But it's okay on top of everything else that she's doing as well, I think. I think we potentially... do we kill Gohan here? Limit Breaker Vegito, I guess it depends how many attacks and crits he gets. And then same with Fu, because both of them are, if you want them to do a lot of damage, reliant on doing multiple additionals. Obviously, Fu does build up crit chance with each extra attack that he does as well, up to 40% chance within the turn. Is he going to crit here as well? No. Okay, so might not be finishing him off here, but that's fine. Oof. 466. That's the thing, like I was saying about how, like, Limit Breaker Vegito can still be kind of runnable on the Heroes team. But once that damage reduction runs out, like, he can still be a massive liability. Also, Fu... how much is Fu going to take from this? Wow, 78k, and that's actually enough to kill him. Alright, well, that's annoying. Let's go ahead and jump into Since this is the last showcase I need to do for these new units before we start messing around with them on other teams and trying them out in specific events, let's jump into the Family Kamehameha stage, because there's 3 enemies in the first phase. So there's a lot of attacks going on. So if we do this, grab ourselves a Vegito friend, jump in real quick. AEOS turn 1? No, she's on turn 2, of course. Alright. The rotations are not great, although I guess we'll have Fu with her. So... Alright, so let's do... Let's attack into the type disadvantage so we're not doing too much damage, and then keep all our enemies here ready for the next turn, so we'll do that. Yeah, so now that I actually have read her passive properly, the making sure she gets a bunch of dodges off in the first turn is going to be really good. Damn, Goku taking 150k from that Trunks is not ideal. And then 122 from Videl. Yeah, that's not great. Like, guaranteed guard, 40% damage reduction. I guess it is one of those things you want him to get his attacks off to get the extra defense, but like, so turn 1, slot 1, he's not particularly good. His best turn really for like tanking is his second appearance in slot 1, because then he's attacked a bunch of times in the previous turn, he gets that defense build up in his passive, and he still has his intro defense. So then that with guard and damage reduction, he's going to tank really, really well, like in the second turn. But that first appearance turn, like taking that much damage from those guys is not ideal. But hey ho, it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, so Toa gets her attack off here. Tanks for double digit damage, because obviously she's on a full crossover team, she's got her full buffs. And then let's see what we can get here. So we got quite a few attacks in slot 1. So we'll go ahead and do this. Grab this for you. And then grab... Videl's not attacking first, is she? So let's do that. Alright. So there's our defense up. 2. Dodge the super. Bruh. 258k and then 4.5. So that's the problem with dodge or die characters, right? This is why you're not going to... I just don't think you're not going to be running her as a slot 1 unit. Like, even with that little bit of extra chance to dodge from having dodged already, she still ate the super. But yeah, she's dodged enough times now, obviously her full passive is going to be built up. So I guess we should get like 1 more turn in with her so we can see her max attack. But... And she'll have the support from Toa on the next rotation as well. But yeah, definitely not a unit that I would be putting in slot 1. You want to get those dodges early on if you can. But... Like, when she's on her first appearance... Fu's just going to die to this now, right? Okay, good. Double digit damage. Fu's defense, I think, is a bit inconsistent. Like, he needs to super a bunch of times, and then he does get the damage reduction within the turn. But, again, against bosses that are hitting that little bit harder, he's not going to be tanking those hits very well. Now, bear in mind as well, as I said at the beginning and as I showed, right, my AEOS doesn't have any skill orbs yet, so I definitely would be giving her full dodge, like, orbs for her build. So let's go ahead and do this. Right, so you're stunned now. So let's go for... I guess we'll just attack you. Let's attack lower, Goten. And then I guess just attack you with Demigra. Demigra, of course, on the non-full extreme rotation doesn't get the extra damage reduction before he attacks, but that makes no difference for this rotation anyway. So, but yeah, Goku only having, what, like, prepared for battle with Dark Mask King means that he's not going to be looking particularly crazy on this turn, but all good. Damn, the multiple supers turn, you love to see it. I really am looking forward to like showing this guy and using this guy on other teams, because I feel like he could be super fun. There's a bunch of teams where like he won't be getting the additional super if you don't have the Xeno ally or like 3 crossover allies, but there's a lot of teams you can run him on with a lot of really strong like orb changing other like ally units on the team, so him not having the like his condition doesn't really matter too much. And so I think it could be very, very interesting. Like, it's a shame that God Goku, physical God Goku from 2023 Saiyan Day is outdated now, because I think he's one of his best link partners, and that would be a kind of super fun rotation, I think. But alright, so do you get extra? Yeah, you get Cold Judgment, Godly Power, and Fierce Battle. So then we get Master of Magic. So she's fully built up at this point. Although the problem is Fu is not really a slot 1 unit. So is he going to be okay? No, because she's going to super straight away, isn't she? Because we didn't finish her off. So am I going to have to do that? Yeah, probably. Alright, well, she's still got the support from Toa, so I guess we'll see what attack stat we're getting here. This is from the fully built up AEOS, which you can still get these like numbers in slot 3. It will just be after she's dodged 4 times. Then she'll be floating around, giving support, and then about 8 million attack, which for a support unit I don't think is that bad. And then obviously at events where you can seal, obviously she would be able to seal. I would say go full dodge, put the rest into additional, because if she does get a second super, at least she raises her defense a little bit. She only needs a crossover ally on the rotation. It's like the only thing in her passive, so using her on like Realm of Gods teams and stuff like that could be interesting. But especially because a lot of these other extreme characters that we've gotten, like the good ones, like Mechikabra, Demigra, they are Realm of Gods characters. So extreme Realm of Gods team would be interesting. I know Tech Zamasu's kind of aged out a little bit, but you could probably get away with running a build where you just float Tech Zamasu until it's time to like use his domain, and then he obviously becomes invincible. That could be kind of interesting, so maybe we'll try that out for a video. But yeah, I think we'll wrap things up there. That's the showcase for the Rainbow level 10 links AEOS. Definitely seems like a pretty good support unit. Obviously, dodge or die when it comes to the big attacks, but once she's dodged or taken the first hit of the turn, she should then be tanking normals relatively well from a lot of enemies. You just obviously want to make sure, ideally, that that first attack is dodged. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of AEOS down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.